What's up guys, this is Saiyan here coming at you with my first 2020 video, and in this particular deck profile I have a little bit more of a spicy deck for you guys. My friend and I, Cake Jordan, we decided to spice things up a little bit, as I said, and we've both built a set 1 deck only. By set 1, of course, we mean the Warrior's Return, the very first set, and I'm not gonna lie, the deck is a little bit super rare heavy, but that's basically just the meta used to be back in those days. Card pool was very limited, only to 100 and a few cards. Of course, 2 starters, 1 obviously main set box, and a couple of promos, but all the promos were just basically still silver stamped changes to already existing cards. So limited card pool, and that of course gives a very nice space for designing, but I stuck with the very basic idea running Super Alien. Now I may or may not record another deck that is in here, but it hasn't really been realized yet in the 40 card format, which I will or will not upload depending how things go. If we carry on playing this particular set 1 only format, then I probably will. If not, then it may not. But also, if you're interested in it, let me know in the comments below, and then that will give a better chance for me to feature that particular deck. All I'm going to say is Evil Tribe. Alright, so let's jump into this deck, guys. So, okay, so the deck is, as I said, very much has that old school feel. We do, however, start out with the still probably definitely top 3 best 1-drops in the game in the set 5 era. Goku, this set 1 staple, has managed to stay a staple all the way through the 5 sets of the game. So obviously we're running the turn 0 Gokus. The other 0-drop we have is Raspberry. I got the foil stamped, the silver writing stamp ones, the foil ones. And when I said promos, I meant cards like this, which is basically the same card, just you can get it obviously in that silver stamp writing. But to be fair, they're still very easy to be found if you're really looking for these cards online. Turn 1, 3 King Kais, just a really good card. It can either obviously take up a beating and then obviously turn into a 0-0 injured status, but you can move this in-play warrior to your chi area, which will increase your chi, which is great in set 1 because you're really struggling for chi in some cases. There are no cards with backup. There's obviously no Dr. Wheelo. There's really just a couple of ways how you can maybe draw additional cards. Even the pumps aren't that even pumps are far and few between, I suppose. If you look at both of the 0-drops, they're both vanilla. They don't do anything. The Raspberry is a 2-1-1-1 for on top of that. So King Kai is actually something that you can do something with. Even when he gets injured, you can move him to your chi, and you can give one of your warriors +2/+0 until the end of turn, which is actually really good. We got 2 Master Roshis. Obviously, we have a couple of Hermit style cards, but even if you don't, Master Roshi can give the buff to itself. It's got very decent stats for a turn 2 card. Injure stats are rubbish, but you find that a lot with a lot of these cards, that injure stats are pretty bad. You do need a Dragon Ball coin, but it doesn't cost you anything to be able to pump a turn 5 or less Hermit style warrior for free once per turn. You can do this your turn and your opponent's turn as well. So obviously Roshi can pump Goku, and Roshi can also pump. We're running 2 starter Sakrillins. Multiple reasons. The regular watchers know I love this card very much. I think it's a good card. It's not a great card, but it's a good card even in the set 5 era. And basically has Hermit style, so Roshi can pump him. and also it just turns all your techniques into a better card by being able to basically give -1/-1 to an opposing warrior that obviously when Krillin uses a technique, any technique that he can use, of course. We run to Vegeta. And geez, I love this card. I wish I could, run it a little bit more regularly. But obviously, in the Set 5 era, there are better cards out there. The Broly's better. The Set 5 Super Saiyan Vegeta is better. But this is still a sweet card. What's very important is that obviously he's got really, really good stats. 6250. He's got super heal toughness. And he needs to be sent out to attack if possible. Not to be confused with Broly's ability, or effect even, I should say. Broly's effect means he needs to be sent out to battle. And it's a valid ability. If Vegeta gets injured, this isn't a valid ability. Plus, it only says he needs to be sent out to attack. So it doesn't mean you need to send him out to defend as well. Whereas Broly needs to go out to defend as well. So there's actually a couple of ways that you can work around the negative effect of this Vegeta, which I really don't even think it's that bad of an effect. You will want to attack with this guy anyway, so why hold him back? And then we do run the Frieza line, so we got two Vegeta, two Friezas, which are super rares. This Frieza is particularly the Set 1 Frieza, not the starter Frieza. You can run the starter Frieza, of course. The only thing why I always opt for this card is because this is just straight up better. Has that effect where with a Dragon Ball, again for free, you can pump one of your warriors, but you take that into account that if that team is defeated, that warrior must be discarded. So that can be a massive loss. But it's also pump ability. It's actually an open ability. It's much better than Roshi's because you can give that +1 to any of your guys. It doesn't have to be Hermes style. The more I play with this second form, the better I find it. And yes, again, it has horrific injure stats. But what I find with Frieza is that, to me, the Frieza warriors are always support warriors. So because Frieza second form, third form, and even the final form has 3 defense. Actually, correct that. The final form has 4, and not defense. Support stat. Support value. He's just an excellent card to be in the background and allow his henchmen and the other guys to do the battle for him, and he'll support them for the background. So don't be discouraged by those injure stats. They're actually not that bad. Plus, again, your Frieza line, your evolution, if you get this guy out, the rest comes out for free with evolution. You don't need to pay the chi cost anymore. So naturally we're running the third form, which again you can only get from the starter. So make sure you get the starters if you want to build this deck. Now, Frieza, the third form, is miles better than the second one. Slightly better stats, normal stats, but he's got 4-0 in injury stats. He's got Fierce 1 as well, which is really important. And of course, without him, you can't bring out this guy, which is Frieza final form, one of the 2 of our boss warriors in this particular deck. Final form speaks for itself. It's actually a really, really strong card if you get it out, of course. 7-4, 5-2, excellent stats. Toughness, Fierce 2, with a Dragon Ball. All of the opposing warriors of turn cost of 3 or less gets -2/-2 until end of turn. That debuff usually cripples your opponent. Don't forget you're gonna get him down in turn 6 as well with evolution, so you still have a deployment to do in that turn. So this, obviously, if you get this guy out, you're in a good position. And finally, of course, our other main boss warrior is the Namek Goku. It's the first time when he turns Super Saiyan. Just another great card. 7-2-5-2. almost the same stats really as Final Form Frieza, except that support, not support. I keep saying support value. It is the support value, yeah, because it's a 2, not a 4. But he has super heal, along with Vegeta, and he has toughness. So he, even with an OV, with an outstanding victory, he's still only going to take 1 damage, as the lead warrior. But don't forget that toughness only stops 1 damage. If a warrior would take 3 damage for any reason, then that would still be 2, so that would still obviously send the warrior into chi. And with the Dragon Ball coin, he basically buffs himself. So we're maxing out as much as we can on the buffs, debuffs. King Kai can give us a +2/+0 buff by sending him to the Chi. Master Roshi can give a +1 debuff to our turn 5 or less Hermes style, which is himself, Krillin, and Goku. Big Goku can buff himself. Frieza gives debuffs to our opponent. Krillin gives debuffs to our opponent if we use techniques with him. So, and of course, base form Frieza can also buff one of our guys for +1 until the end of turn. So, this is the I would say this was the prescription lineup back in the Set 1 era. As much as I know about it, of course, I haven't played it back then, but luckily I am fortunate enough to know a few people who have, and of course there are some videos still on YouTube that I recommend watching, where people talk about what it was like playing in the Set 1 era. So this is the Warrior lineup, and let's go into the techniques. First of all, and this might look a little bit weird, but I do run 2 Spirit Balls. The reason why I run 2 Spirit Balls is it's very likely you are going to come across events in this game. And again, you don't have any, like Spirit Ball is, it's like your, Spirit Ball is a combination of, to me, Spirit Ball and Solar Flare from turn 1, basically became Burning Attack in Set 5. Obviously, Spirit Ball allows you to move target event to your opponent's chi area. Burning Attack does allow you to basically do exactly the same thing. An event with 2 or less counters, which is usually pretty much all the events. And Solar Flare will give out -2 turn cost to a warrior. Again, Burning Attack does that, but also Burning Attack gives a -2/-2 debuff, and if Trunks uses it, then you draw a card. So this card, I keep saying, like, this card is so flexible and it does so many things. If you look at the Set 1 era, it's actually 2 separate cards that don't even do quite enough to what Burning Attack does on its own, so it just shows how much the game's evolved. But Spirit Ball is in there because it's very likely our opponent's going to maybe run Captured, Invasion of the Planet, or some sort of a another event that was quite common back in the Set 1 era. And Solar Flare allows us to maybe debuff our own warrior, debuff for Super Saiyan Goku, so we can actually then make him a 4 turn cost, so that means we can pump him with Roshi. We can also use Solar Flare to debuff one of our opponent's warriors to bring him into Final Form Frieza's range, to give it a -2/-2. It's just a generic, cheap technique as well for Krillin to use, and through that give a debuff to one of our opponent's cards. And last but not least, we also run Solar Flare because we are running 3 Kamehamehas, and that also allows us to bring a turn 5 or less cost warrior into the range of Kamehameha and give 1 damage to it. So this Solar Flare, perhaps an overlooked card in the era of having all the Set 5 cards, but certainly at this stage of the game, this was very much a staple. As you can see, it actually combos with 4 cards that we have in this deck, which is pretty amazing, I think. Now, another card that I think stayed relevant in the Set 5 era is Jankengu. It's just a straight up +2/+0 buff to one of our warriors. You can only use it in the action phase, but you will find that pretty much all the effects of the cards can only be used in the action phase. There's a couple you can use in strategy. So it's a straight up +2/+0, but again, if you use it with Krillin, it's actually a +2/+2 to one of your guys and a -1/-1 debuff to an opposing warrior. So it's just a straight up good card. I really like Jankengu. Just gives you that early game interaction that you need. And now because we got two warriors here with super heal, actually the only two cards that came out with super heal in set 1, we got Goku and we have Vegeta. We're running two Senzu Beans. And basically, not only will Senzu Bean save any of our warriors if they get injured, which can be particularly important, of course, if you are trying to keep a second form alive, for example. You may not have the third form in your hand, but you have the final form and you're just waiting to draw into this. Might be a good way to persevere a little bit more, but mostly it's in the deck to heal our Goku, to heal our Vegeta. You can send them out, maybe take a defeat, and then obviously when it's your action phase, you can send these guys out with a bit of a decoy. Yes, you send out the Goku, but then in the action phase, you drop that Senzu Bean on him. He becomes a 7/2, but because he's got super, he gets a +1/+1 counter, so he will actually go out attacking as an 8/3. So Senzu Beans, again, very multi-use in this particular deck, but it's predominantly reserved for the two main Saiyans that we run here. And then last but not least, not only is it difficult to draw cards, in fact, I don't have any cards that draw cards in this particular setup. You can kind of push a couple of decks in the set 1 era, but I'm not really sure if it's worth it. But we do have two Invasion of the Planet just for some additional chi generation. So what Invasion of the Planet allows us to do comes out in turn 3. And it's just a straight up event. It will stay down, no time counters, none of that. Once in your strategy phase, when you're obviously attacking, you can move the top card of your planet into your chi area. And I say once because all these abilities can only be used once per turn, or even in our case, only during our turn, so when we're attacking. It's still a good card. It still gives us the ability to of course, spend chi on Kamehameha. It gives us extra chi to bring out Goku Super Saiyan. He's got 2 super costs. It gives us abilities for just playing all the techniques really that we have in the deck. Works really well with the King Kai, which again we can sacrifice. Yes, we lose a warrior, but if he's a 0/0, he's not worth much anyways. So putting him to the chi will just give us additional options again to play more cards. The only thing you need to be aware of is you're running 2 separate Gokus. So if you're running the turn 0 Goku, you can't play the turn 6 Goku. So if you know you're about to play turn 6 Goku, just make sure that Goku is, somehow taken care of by your opponent. That is pretty much it, ladies and gents. This is my first take on a set 1 only deck. It's a super alien deck. We're running the Frieza lineup, and we're running quite a lot of super rares. We're actually running 8 super rares. We got Frieza final form, we got Vegeta, and we got the Super Saiyan Goku. So you don't necessarily need to have obviously all these super rares to be able to build a set 1 only deck, but it's certainly recommended if you want to sort of go to the peak of set 1, if that's something you want to do. If not, just carry on tuning into my channel. Welcome to 2020, and I hope you will enjoy the content that I have lined up for you this year as well. But for now, Bussy and signing out. Peace, YouTube.